Hi, my name is Verena von Horsten, and this is a introduction to the short film Divine Transformation. I wanted to do this short introduction to the movie, to the short film, to make people understand what the film is about, because it's a very experimental film and sometimes it's a little bit hard to really understand what kind of message there is. So a part of it shows George Floyd being killed by Derek Chauvin, the police officer. We are living in very, very challenging times. But, as it always is in life, every challenge every difficulty is as well a big chance for change. And actually, difficulties or crises, they arise because something in the collective or within a single person is trying to change something. And the biggest catalyst for change is always the death of a person we love. The short film talks not only about that, but especially how we can make the effort for a change, what we can do to really change those circumstances, and after all, how it even is possible that a human being has the ability to kill somebody. So what you see in the first part of the film is this fraction within a soul that happens when this person doesn't allow I gotta rephrase that. Killing somebody demands a highly fracturation within the human mind. Being able to kill somebody without even noticing it, and this is what happened with Derek Chauvin. He didn't even notice one bit that his knee, who was in touch with the body of George Floyd, he didn't sense it anymore that George Floyd was gone. So Derek Chauvin was entering a state where he totally cut off every sense of feeling for the pain he's causing to somebody else, to George Floyd. So my question when I saw this video, was, well, it's actually not only when I saw this video, it's a question that I have going on for a really long time. How is it possible that one human can kill another one without really having the consciousness that this person is really killing the other one, and feeling, not even having not the consciousness, but really feeling allowed to do so? That is a question that runs through my mind since a very long time. So when I saw the video of Derek Chauvin killing George Floyd, I could see that. I could see once again how a human mind can totally cut themselves off of their feelings, even physical feelings, that they're causing, the degree of pain they're causing to somebody else. And since this question is in my life for such a long time, I wanted to explain that process. That process somebody has to go through in order to become a killer. And this process happens when we are not allowing ourselves to really feel the dark side of ourselves. Everybody has a dark side. We all have it. We all have it. And this is actually not the problem. The problem is not that we have a dark side. The problem is what happens, what are the consequences if we don't address ourselves to that part, if we don't confront ourselves to that part. So what happens when this dark side of our soul, which can be a lot, it can be pain, it can be feeling vulnerable, it can be guilt, it can be shame, many things. It's each and every human has a different topic in their dark side. So, but what happens if we don't acknowledge those emotions, if we don't validate those emotions, if we don't validate them, if we keep thinking that's something that I don't want to feel, we are suppressing those emotions over and over and over again. What happens then is when a person or a situation happens that triggers that feeling that they have suppressed for so many years, when that happens, they immediately, this is the danger, the consequence, the dangerous consequence of always suppressing the shadow side. If something arises that reminds that person of their shadow side, they immediately have to get rid of, like immediately. Either, and over there, when they have to get rid of that, there are several scenarios. One scenario is you just leave the situation. So if leaving the situation is not working anymore, the person who doesn't want to be reminded of their own emotions will find a vicious, malicious way to really get rid of the other person. And I mean really get rid of, really. Like either when you are living together, that person will systematically tear you down, will drain you, because you are a threat to their life system. They developed a life system that they always suppressing those dark emotions, and if they get reminded constantly and they can't avoid it anymore, there is no other way for them to get rid of you. This is how a killer is born. He feels the threat by somebody else or a situation to his own life system, so he feels like he's fighting for his survival. And the other person is the enemy that has to be killed so he can survive, or she, it doesn't matter, or whoever. Do you see that? One person is triggering all those emotions from the person who becomes a killer, because this person doesn't want to see the emotion of this person. This person reminds them of something so painful that they have to get rid of, right? So if this person, the killer, can't go away, or can't mute the other person anymore, he has to kill. He has to do that in order to survive. That's the mechanism of a killer. And it happens years when there were very little, systematically always suppressing every emotion, right? And this is what I'm showing in the video. It's like when you try to suppress, or you do suppress your emotions all the time, it fractures you, it tears you internally, it tears you apart, and you become that person that is not aware of their emotion, and that subconscious killer that always has to take care of those emotions, right? So you don't feel them. And here comes my question in how the heck can we stop that? How the fuck can we stop that? And in my journey and in my experience that I have made in my family, I realized the only thing we really have to do is to get back in touch with our dark side. Not to let that part control us, but to unite with it. And we unite if we don't judge it. We unite with the dark side if we look at it from an objective perspective and look at it with compassion. And this is only possible if you realize that all the negative stuff we have within us, our identity, that cultural identity, sex identity, whatever kind of identity, that was taught to us. But within us, there is a spark, there is our essence. It has nothing to do with this identity we were taught to. And we have the power to decide every day where we're gonna go. But we are only capable to make this decision when this dark part is not controlling us constantly in our every daily decision making life. The dark side loses its power when we don't suppress it anymore. The only power the dark side has is when we are afraid of it. And we are so afraid of it that we don't want to feel it, right? This is the only power it has. And it loses its power when we say, okay, I'm gonna face you directly into your eyes. And I'm telling you, it's okay to be there, but you're not allowed to control me. We have to learn to confront ourselves with the darkest part in compassion. If we can do that, if we can manage to do that, the dark part resolves. Step after step after step after step. It resolves because it loses its power. And when this happens, that's the beautiful part, the most rewarding part of doing so. When this happens, we encounter something within us that many people refer as delight. This is why I choose that word in the film. If the dark part falls apart, we create space that something else that is always within us, always here, can finally shine through, and we see it, right? It finally shines through, and we can see it, and it's something that has so much power once we give it space, right? And this is why it is so important to give that light always its even in the midst of the most darkest hour in our life, or the most darkest hour in society, we have to remain that space. We have to keep that light no matter what. No matter what. If we don't keep it and we act in a way that resembles the killer, like punishing, killing, suppressing, we will not be able to transform or change the problems we are facing right now. And Black people, and this is where I really must say the universe is genius in every sense, because this transformation in human mankind, that we discover our light, our essence, and we shine that, we let that shine, and we really act from that place. We don't act from the suppressed dark emotions. This process has been initiated by Black people. Black people, slaves who has been dragged out of their tribe, their country, into a foreign country, have been mistreated, killed, tortured, enslaved for centuries. Those people remained in their light. These beautiful souls have taught me and many other beings on this earth what it really means to keep the light in the midst of the darkness. Black folks have taught us and still are teaching us that revenge is not the solution. Transformation of the soul is the solution. And to all my Black folks out there, you can be very proud of yourself. You can be very proud of yourself. Your ancestors and you are bringing a new dawn to this earth. This is your biggest reward for all the pain and sacrifices you guys have made through centuries. You gave your life so that we understand. In my life, my personal life, my brother has given his life so I understand. He and I didn't know that about him, but I was always, since a child, drawn magically to the topic of slavery. I was drawn to it like crazy. And I remember that as a child, when I read, or it was read to me, the story of Moses and the Hebrew people, I was convinced that Moses is Black. And I was convinced, and I still am, that he's kind of my father. It sounds crazy. Some of you will understand and some won't, and that's fine. So, but when I was a child, I was convinced he was Black. And there was that one time I remember that I think it was Easter time, and I was very little still, 6 years old, and I watched that movie about Moses and his people on TV. And that guy was white. And I was like, that's so wrong. Why are they showing somebody white? He was black. I was convinced, and I still am. So, what I'm trying to say, the story of slavery or the story of freedom is a very important topic to me. My brother died a very crucial death, and before he died, we were having that one conversation once that we were talking about what kind of song we would like to be sang on our funeral. And he told me he would like that Amazing Grace would be sang or given at his funeral. And when he died, I remembered that. I remembered his wish. And I was not aware what this song is actually about. And of course, when he died, at his funeral, I wanted to sing that song to him. So I looked it up, Amazing Grace, what it is about. And it's about that one captain that had a ship, and he transferred slaves from Africa to America. And then he got into a storm so heavily. The storm was so brutal. And I mean, when you are on a ship and in the ocean and you get into such a storm, you're really scared. I mean, you're really scared, but those waves are crazy, really. But luckily, the whole ship and its members survived. But it made the captain think, why did I survive? God was so merciful with me that I survived. He understood that it was an act of compassion. He understood that although he was doing all these vicious things, adding to slavery, doing his contribution that slavery could evolve, nevertheless, God had compassion with him. And this compassion he experienced sparked compassion for black people, for slaves. Do you see that? If you feel compassion within yourself, you feel compassion for others. This is what my film is talking about. You have to give yourself compassion. Then you stop the killing and you feel compassion for everybody else. This is true transformation. This is a long video. This is a long video. Keep the light, my friends. I know it's hard. It's hard when your people get killed. It's hard when you try to find justice and you think and you see it's not happening. I know for sure what that means. I know that. But true justice comes with true transformation within you. And if you show that, if you do that and you show that to other people, you act from a place of light, you transform other peoples as well. We are only energetic beings. We send out and it comes back. We have to change the laws for sure. We have to do that. But we have to change. We have to change our hearts too. And that only works stay firm, my friends. Stay firm and keep the light. We are all with you, and you are all with us. We are all together. This change is gonna come. I can see it and I can feel it. Don't give up.